All around, there's a whirlwind of laughter, of running feet, of shouts echoing through the air, pure, unbridled joy. But this child stands perfectly still, almost frozen, their small hands gripping the straps of a backpack so tightly their knuckles blanch. They watch, their eyes tracking the chaotic dance of connection. They want, more than anything, to join that chaos of happiness, to be swept up in it. But between them and that world, there's an invisible wall, thick as glass, a wall only they can feel. Their heart beats a frantic hummingbird rhythm against their ribs. Their palms grow damp. And though every fiber of their being yearns to move forward, a quiet, powerful voice inside whispers, "Stay still. Don't risk it. You will fumble. You will be seen." This is the quiet, intricate world of a shy child, a world not defined by a lack of wanting, but by a profound inner storm that makes the simplest connection feel like a monumental climb up a mountain they cannot see the top of. The psychology of a shy child is not a story of weakness. It's a story of hidden strength, of silent battles fought in plain sight, and of a sensory and emotional sensitivity that our noisy, fast-moving, extrovert-prizing world often fails to understand or accommodate. To truly see it, we must first dismantle our misconceptions and understand what shyness actually is. It's not merely a personality trait, nor is it a permanent label stamped on a soul. At its very core, shyness is a deep psychological and physiological response to the perceived threat of social evaluation. Picture the autonomic nervous system as a hypervigilant security system, constantly scanning the environment. For some children, that system is calibrated to a higher sensitivity from the very beginning, a biological blueprint. When faced with social uncertainty, when unfamiliar eyes turn toward them, when they're expected to speak into a silence, when they stand at the threshold of a new interaction, their entire system illuminates with red alert. Their body reacts with a cascade of cortisol and adrenaline as if the situation carries a real physical threat, even though their logical mind knows a playground or a classroom is not dangerous. But the body, steeped in primal instinct, doesn't always obey logic. This is why shy children often describe their experience in raw, physical sensations: a heart that races ahead of them, cheeks that burn with a telltale flush, a lump of pure anxiety forming in the throat that seems to trap their words, a heaviness settling in the chest like a stone. And here lies the central heartbreaking paradox. Shy children often crave connection just as intensely, sometimes even more desperately than their outgoing peers. They yearn to belong, to be woven into the social tapestry. They long to speak their mind, to offer their unique perspective. They dream of laughing freely, without that inner critic narrating their every move. But in the crucial moment of possibility, the fear of negative judgment, the dread of stumbling over words, the anxiety of being perceived as boring or awkward, rises up like a tidal wave and crashes over the simple, pure desire to join in. It's not that they don't want to step forward. It's that their inner psychology makes that single step feel 10 times heavier, as if they're moving through viscous water while everyone else moves through air. This constant tension shapes them. It carves neural pathways in their young minds, pathways that whisper caution, danger, retreat, that can influence the landscape of the years to come. Psychologists have studied this for decades, and one of the most crucial discoveries is that shyness often has roots in a complex interplay of both nature and nurture. Some children arrive in the world with a temperament psychologists call behavioral inhibition, their nervous systems finely tuned instruments, picking up on every nuance of stimulation: a loud noise, a crowded room, an intense gaze, the subtle frown of a stranger. Others develop shyness as a protective layer, woven thread by thread from experience. Perhaps they were teased once, and the sting never fully faded, becoming a core memory. Maybe they felt consistently overlooked, a silent member of the chorus, learning that their voice didn't seem to matter. Or they grew up in an environment where speaking up felt unsafe, where the emotional weather was unpredictable, and scrutiny felt punishing. But in every case, shyness is rarely random or a simple choice. It is the intricate, functional result of a child's unique mind and body working in concert, building a defense against a world that feels overwhelmingly bright, loud, and socially perilous. Now, here's a distinction that changes everything and is so often misunderstood. Shyness and introversion are not the same thing. Introversion is about energy dynamics, where you draw it from and where you spend it. An introverted child might genuinely prefer solitude or small groups, recharging in quiet corners of their imagination. But that doesn't mean they feel anxious or fearful in social settings. They may be perfectly calm. Shyness, on the other hand, is fundamentally about fear and apprehension in social contexts. This means a shy extrovert is not only possible, but it's a specific kind of quiet agony. Imagine a child whose spirit is energized by people, who feels alive in the buzz of interaction, but who is paralyzed by the fear of initiating it, of being evaluated. They might sit in absolute silence in a classroom, not because their mind is empty or disinterested, but because the spotlight of attention feels physically unbearable, like a searing heat. And yet inside, they are bursting with thoughts, jokes, answers, and feelings they are desperate to share. This is where the psychology of self-image begins to crystallize in a potentially damaging way. Childhood is when we first start to sketch the map of who we are in relation to others. For a shy child, those early sketches can become tragically distorted by their own internal narrative and the labels others place on them. They might start to internalize these identities. I'm the quiet one. I'm the one nobody notices. I'm the one who doesn't quite fit, who is somehow broken. And here lies the real long-term danger, not in the shyness itself, but in the story the child begins to believe, cementing it as their permanent truth. But within this struggle, there is also a hidden beauty, a compensatory superpower. If you look closely, shy children often become the world's keenest observers and most intuitive empaths. While others rush headlong into conversations, they listen, truly listen. While others speak in torrents, they notice the pauses, the subtle shifts in body language, the micro-expressions and unspoken emotions flickering across a face. Their silence, though born from fear, also grants them the gift of profound perception. They learn to read a room with an almost psychic acuity. They sense the emotional undercurrents, the tension, the joy, the unease, more deeply than others. It is no accident that many grow up to be artists, writers, thinkers, and healers, people who transform their inward depth and observational prowess into something that touches and understands the wider world. Yet that potential doesn't erase the daily grinding struggle of childhood. Picture a classroom where participation is constantly rewarded, where the teacher praises the child who is first to raise a hand, who dominates the discussion with confident, if not always deep, contributions. The shy child, brimming with considered, complex ideas, remains voiceless, a ghost at the feast of learning. Over days, weeks, and months, they can begin to feel intellectually invisible, not because they have nothing to contribute, but because their fear has built a cage around their voice. Over time, this can actively erode their academic self-esteem. They may start to underperform on participatory metrics, not due to a lack of ability or understanding, but because their brilliant thoughts remain prisoners within them, and they start to doubt the value of what was never shared. Pause for a moment and consider this haunting question. How many world-changing ideas have remained forever unspoken because the child who conceived them was too shy to raise their hand? How many profound, lifelong friendships never sparked into being because a shy child couldn't find the single moment of courage to say hello or ask to join the game? It's a heartbreaking thought, but also an inspiring one, because it reminds us of the vast, untapped potential that lives within them, simply waiting for the right, safe conditions to emerge. Science and compassionate practice offer us a guiding light here. Studies in developmental psychology consistently show that shyness often softens and social confidence grows when children feel genuinely safe, supported in their autonomy, and understood rather than pathologized. Environments that pressure them to be louder, bolder, or more outgoing, to simply get over it or break out of their shell, often backfire spectacularly, causing them to retreat further into their protective shells, now layered with shame. But when adults, parents, teachers, mentors, meet their struggle not with frustration, but with empathetic curiosity, something magical begins to happen. When they create gentle, low-stakes invitations instead of harsh public demands, when they offer a choice, would you like to read your answer to me or to the class, instead of a command, the child begins to feel truly seen for their capability, not just their caution. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, that invisible wall begins to thin. A whispered answer to a trusted teacher one day becomes a raised hand in a small group the next. A shared glance over a shared interest evolves into a quiet, deep conversation with a single, carefully chosen friend. It's a process of building neural and emotional trust, stone by careful stone. But let's go deeper. Why does this matter profoundly beyond the classroom or the playground? Because shyness fundamentally shapes the architecture of identity. A shy child grows up navigating life with an acute, often exhausting, hyper-awareness of other people's presumed opinions. This can forge incredible empathy, the ability to truly imagine standing in someone else's shoes, because they are constantly trying to anticipate the perspectives of others. But it can also trap them in a relentless, draining cycle of post-event rumination and self-monitoring. They replay conversations long after they're over, analyzing every word, every tone for hidden judgments. They agonize over how they were perceived. They worry about social mistakes that nobody else even registered. This reveals one of the greatest psychological truths about shyness. It's not merely about avoiding other people. It's about avoiding the devastating, core-shaking fear of social rejection, of not being accepted, of being found wanting. At its heart, the shy child is on a profound, lifelong search for unconditional belonging. They are waiting, consciously or not, for the world to send them a clear, consistent signal. You are safe here. You are enough, exactly as you are, quietness and all. And until they internalize that signal, they will often hold back, preserving themselves in a state of suspended social animation. This leads us to a radical, necessary question. What if shyness isn't something to be fixed or cured, but simply another valid neurological way of being human, with its own unique strengths and shadows? After all, many of history's most thoughtful, creative, and compassionate individuals, from Eleanor Roosevelt to Charles Darwin to Maya Angelou, battled with shyness in their youth. Their quietness wasn't a flaw to be corrected. It was the very soil, rich with introspection, in which their depth and observational genius took root. Their sensitivity became their superpower. Yet we must also be painfully honest. Shyness, when left completely unacknowledged, unsupported, or mocked, can harden into social anxiety and avoidant patterns that follow a person into adulthood. They may freeze in job interviews, hesitate to pursue loving relationships, or let golden opportunities pass by, not for a lack of talent or passion, but because that old, familiar neural pathway still fires from the back of their mind. Stay quiet. Don't risk exposure. The cost of failure is annihilation. This is why empathy isn't just nice, it's neurologically necessary. This is why awareness matters. When we look at a shy child, we're not just seeing a quiet kid. We are witnessing a heart that beats loudly in the silence, a mind spinning with unspoken thoughts and vivid inner worlds, a soul that aches for connection just out of reach. And when we truly recognize this, we start to create a different world, a world with softer edges, with space for different tempos, where their voice, however soft or slow to emerge, is given its rightful space and value. The shy child who carries both shadows and gifts grows up navigating an intriguing in-between. What begins as a fear of exposure often matures, with support, into a deep search for authentic meaning and connection. They learn early that words have weight, that silence has texture. So when they do choose to speak, it's often with remarkable intention and impact. Their words aren't casual, they're curated. Their pauses aren't empty, they're spacious and thoughtful. Consider this fascinating dynamic. Shyness, often placed on the spectrum of social anxiety, is essentially a heightened sensitivity to the possibility of judgment, and this sensitivity is a double-edged sword. One edge can hold a person back, creating hesitation and missed experiences, but the other, sharper edge grants a piercing attunement to the human details others miss. They notice a subtle kindness in a passing gesture. They wince at a hidden cruelty in a joke. They sense the shifting, unspoken energy between people in a room. This deep awareness becomes their compass, their artistic material, their source of empathy. So why do some shy children blossom while others retreat into themselves? The answer lies less in the child alone and more in the environment that holds them. A child met with gentle, patient encouragement, who feels safe enough to take tiny, calculated risks with a safety net of support, begins to stretch their social muscles. They build a foundation of earned confidence, one small brave act at a time, a question asked, a name spoken, a preference stated. But a child who is mocked, pressured, or shamed with, "Why are you so shy?" learns the opposite, corrosive lesson. They learn that their instinct to protect themselves was right all along. The world is not safe. The loop of shyness tightens into a trap. It's a powerful reminder that, isn't this true for all of us in some way? We expand when met with kindness and safety. We shrink and armor ourselves when met with judgment and force. The shy child just feels this universal truth more acutely, in their very bones. Their inner landscape is delicate, like a small, steady flame that can be nurtured with oxygen and protection into a warm, guiding glow, or extinguished by a careless gust. Many shy children, against the odds, grow into adults who become empathetic leaders, thoughtful creators, and incredibly loyal, deep friends. Why? Because their early struggle, the visceral feeling of being unseen, of longing, forges in them a powerful, lifelong mission to ensure others never feel that same isolating, invisible pain. The very sensitivity that once felt like a crippling burden becomes the non-negotiable bedrock of their profound compassion and ethical stance in the world. Think about that profound transformation. The child who once stood alone on the playground, mapping the social currents, may become the adult who always notices the person sitting by themselves at a party and offers a genuine connection. The child who was afraid to raise a hand may become the mentor or teacher who gives others the courage, the specific words, and the safe space to find their own voice. This is the hopeful science of neuroplasticity. The human brain is adaptable. With gentle, repeated practice, supportive, attuned relationships, and consistent experiences of social safety, even the deepest, oldest neural pathways of fear can soften, and new pathways of confidence can be paved and strengthened. Landmark longitudinal studies in developmental psychology show that children identified as shy or inhibited followed wildly different life paths. Some, under stress and without support, became anxious adults. Others, with nurturing environments, grew into confident, capable individuals who simply retained a thoughtful quietness, a preference for depth over breadth. The critical difference wasn't solely their inborn temperament. It was in how the world responded to them, how it held their sensitivity. Shyness is not destiny. It is a chapter, often a difficult and formative one, but it is never the whole book. So let's end with this final tender image. Imagine a child holding a single candle in a vast windy space. The flame flickers, fragile, vulnerable to every passing breeze, its light wavering but persistent. That child is the shy child. But with time, with careful tending, with protection from the harsh winds, and the provision of a little shelter, that flame grows steady. It finds its balance. It can warm a room with its gentle heat, It can light a path for others lost in the dark of their own insecurities. It was never about the size or brazenness of the flame compared to others. It was always about whether it was given the chance, the right conditions, to burn consistently and true. If you are shy, or if you love someone who is, remember this: silence is not emptiness. It is often fullness waiting for a safe outlet. Quietness is not weakness. It is a different form of strength, one of endurance and deep perception. The psychology of a shy child is not the story of someone destined to be small. It is the epic story of someone learning to see the world with unique, painful clarity, to feel its textures deeply, and to offer gifts of insight, empathy, and creativity that louder, faster voices sometimes cannot, because they are too busy speaking to listen.
Shyness may soften with time and experience, but the underlying sensitivity remains. And that sensitivity, when finally embraced and directed, is not a limitation. It is the gift of deep listening, of true empathy, of seeing the invisible struggles in others because you have meticulously navigated that terrifying terrain yourself. So the next time you see a shy child, or recognize that watchful, cautious child within you, don't see silence as an absence. See it as a universe of potential, a deep well of feeling and thought, waiting patiently, bravely, for its moment to speak. And when it does, it often changes everything.